Our guests today, Ron Schray and Nancy Vallen from the Ashtabula Bike Club. Lately, we've been talking about things like gasoline taxes and government stuff and health care. So we're going to do it spring. We're going to do something a little more fun, and that's talking about biking. And so, Nancy, Ron, tell us a little history of the organization. Ron's been appointed.
Okay. The Ashtabula Bike Club actually started through the YMCA in Ashtabula, and Dave Summers, who was the director at the time there, led the bike club under the umbrella of the YMCA. And I'm not sure exactly when this happened, maybe around 2000 or something. He was shuffled out the door, but they allowed him to continue the bike club. But after he did it a couple more years, he decided that maybe he didn't want to do it anymore and closed it down. So Nancy and I decided we were going to keep it running. So we've created some new routes that we do, and our membership kind of fell for a little bit, but we're starting to come back. We get 15 or 18 riders sometimes, and that's not a bad group.
And so, since I happen to be a member, I happen to know these things, but we meet Tuesdays at 6 o'clock in the evening. Anybody can show up. You just need a bicycle and you need a helmet, correct?
That's right.
And just to kind of warm up for the season, in April, which was this past first Tuesday of April, was our first trip out, and we do the Greenway Trail from Austinburg. And that in April, and then in October till the weather gets too lousy and the sun goes down too soon. Go ahead.
We try to schedule the beginning of the bicycle season so that people can get tuned up and more comfortable riding. And we meet every Tuesday. Our schedule is every Tuesday night at 6, and some people can meet a little bit early. And then once May through October, those dates, we schedule locations at different part of Ashtabula County. And I send out weekly emails to let people know where the locations are and maps. And people can call me at any time or email me if they have questions.
So give us some examples, because they're all over the county. You may be in Conneaut one day, you might be South County another day, maybe Geneva.
Yeah, I've tried to ensure that all of the bike routes are on bicycle-friendly roads where there's not much traffic, and that the edges of the road have enough space so that you could be a little bit more secure on the road. We meet at different locations so that people do get out there and discover our county. We meet at Gageville United Methodist Church, the Metro Park, different locations. We've started at Andover and out at Cork Cold Springs Road, at the Ashtabula ATEC. And that's just a small amount of the locations we start at. And then our bicycle rides, if you're just a beginning bicycle rider, we can just go as far as you feel comfortable and then return to the start. And then if you're a more experienced rider, the most that we do on a Tuesday is around 20 miles because of the darkness in the roads or in the daylight.
Right. But there are different, for people that are just starting out or may not be sure, there are different routes. So they can go 12 miles. The map will show a 12-mile route maybe, or a 15 or an 18-mile route.
Yes, and there's always guaranteed to be one of the bike club members at the very end of the route to ride with somebody who wants to do shorter. And if they do get started and find out that they don't feel good or they're just not certain, we can always turn around at any distance. But I do try to get like a 5 to 6 mile loop and then up to a 20-mile loops.
Because one thing I noticed with new people is they all are wondering, am I going to be able to make it? Am I going to be able to make it? And I think they're afraid that we're all going to take off because we do it all the time, and they're going to be sitting there and and turn around on their own with their tails between their legs and go back.
One of the fundamental things that I'm trying to do with the bike club is to just encourage anybody who's new to bicycling, just to get them started. And I want to reassure anybody who's interested, you can come and we will just try and get you started on whatever ability level you're comfortable with.
Hopefully everybody at some time or another has ridden a bicycle, but for some people it may have been 40 or 50 years ago. I mean, the bicycle group is mainly people in their 50s, 60s, some, at least one 70-year-old there is, but we've had them all as old as 90, correct?
Yes, we have had younger people join us. People bring their kids. And then we have had a gentleman that was 90 years old who rode with us, and he actually, was quite a challenging rider.
So yeah, it's if you think that you're too young, you're too old, you're too inexperienced, you're too experienced, we kind of accommodate all groups.
And sometimes people feel that they have to have a certain bicycle, and that is not the case. You can bring whatever bicycle you have, and if you get there, we have experienced people who can look it over and help you, because we understand that everybody has to start with what they have and work their way up, and the best way to do that is just to get out there.
Right, and see what you can do. And like the first week we were out there, when I got on my bicycle, I had ridden a couple times this year, but it's been kind of cold. Yeah. It was kind of cold that night, and the wind's blowing, and I'm thinking, this is going to be a long 15 miles because of the wind's hitting me. Mm-hmm. And after about 2 miles, I don't know if the wind died down or just my attitude changed, but there was no problem, and it was a nice ride.
And that's really important to remember, is sometimes because you're riding with other people, you just do ride a little bit more than you thought was possible, because you're just talking and enjoying different discussions with people.
Right. It's. I want to get back to that, the social club aspect of it. But Ron, you're talking about people that know something about bikes and can help. Ron's garage, it's not a place, it's not a repair shop. It's just Ron's personal home and garage. Before the season started, he had a Saturday, well, both of you did, at his place, where you could look over you could take your bicycle and have him look it over, make suggestions, and so tell us about that, Ron, and what you're looking at bicycles at the beginning of the season.
Well, when we look at bikes, a lot of people are not maintenance oriented, so we check chains do wear out, and when your chain wears out, it will also wear out your gears. So we like to kind of stay on top of the chain. They're a lot cheaper than gears. And some people say, well, my bike doesn't shift quite well. It's jumping gears, this and that, and we can adjust a lot of that out and just double check the brakes and stuff like that. And sometimes if your wheels have got out of shape and they wobble, we can true them up and make them run slicker, and that way, especially when you have rim brakes, the brakes aren't rubbing as the wheel goes around.
Mm-hmm. And oftentimes people who do join us, they get their bicycle out of the garage. It's been sitting for a couple years, and they bring it. We just look it over, and maybe it just needs cleaned and oiled, and we can show you how to do that. Or maybe because it has sat, you might need a new part. But we try to just help you get started in bicycling.
Another thing is a lot of people that just have a bike, or somebody had a bike that seems like it fits them, and they go to ride it. A lot of times the bike is not fit to the rider. The seat height needs changed, move back and forth, stuff like that, to get the rider in the proper position of the bike. And that makes a big difference in being comfortable when you're riding. You can ride a lot more distance if you're properly fit to the bike. So for people who have bikes like that, we're not experts in the fit, but we can get you a lot closer than what you were.
So that's something some people just don't think about.
exactly. I
It's-
see a lot of people riding all the time that their seat's too high, too low, whatever, and they could definitely benefit by. And most bike shops will fit you. You can bring any bike into almost any bike shop, and for $50, they will fit you. And I think it's $50 well spent.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's maybe the difference between you enjoying your ride or taking 2 rides and saying this was just
Yeah.
not worth it, and I'm going to go home and watch television. Do you think kids today ride bicycles as much as they used to? I mean, it seems like when we're out on the trail and stuff, though, it's older people that are on bicycles. It's when we were younger, you know, we were all on bicycles, and now we're older, we're all on bicycles. But is the generations after that out there doing?
We do a lot of week-long rides in various places around the country, and the average age of the riders keeps getting older. We're not being replaced by the new younger riders, and this is actually a problem for a lot of the rides that the ridership is going down, and they have a minimum amount of people they have to
Yeah.
pay for the ride to be able to put it on. And a lot of rides I've done now, the average age is getting over 60.
Nancy Vallen and Ron Schray are our guests, and it's kind of a shame. You hear a lot about people that are battling depression, and they've got, you know, medical problems, heart problems, diabetes, and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm not saying bicycle riding is going to cure it all, but I don't know. There's somebody had an expression: you never see a sad person on a bicycle. I mean, would you agree with that?
They might start out sad, but then
Right.
after a while, it just eases up, and they just seem to have more of a relaxed approach after riding. Yep.
It is strange though, because you set out on like a 25-mile ride and you think, I don't really feel like that today. And you end up riding with somebody and you find something you have in common, and all of a sudden the ride's over.
Right.
Like that. So
Yeah. Or if you're new to bicycling and you think, I've never even ridden a mile, and then when you're out there riding, before you know it, you know, you might have started with that mile, and then you can work up.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking one day to Pierpont trustee, and I live in Conneaut, and I said, oh, I ride down your area all the time. I almost had to pull her off the floor. She thought driving from Conneaut, riding a bicycle from Conneaut to Pierpont is just like, but, you know, to me, that's nothing to it, and it's just not. And the other thing is that I mean, I've covered stuff in Ashtabula County as a journalist for years, and you hear about certain things, and you go by it in a car at 55 miles an hour, which is the most you probably should be. Maybe you're going 65. But when you're on a bicycle and you're going through roaming shores and the lake there, and I mean, it's a whole different perspective.
Mm-hmm. And our group is open to anybody from any location. Even people who are traveling through can join us, just because we do try to pick roads that are good riding roads. But oftentimes I found that people who have grown up in Ashtabula County, they have never really been to the areas that we bicycle for one reason or another.
Because they're on 90, they're on 45, they're on 7, they're on the big highways. We're almost out of time. Before we leave, I want you to give a contact, the email address that people could be put. It doesn't hurt for them to be on the email address, even, you know, if they're just mildly contemplating it.
Yes, anybody who's interested in getting any information, or I send out a calendar of the year-long locations. You can call me at area code 440-855-1017, or you can email me at nancyvallen@windstream.net. We're also on Facebook at Ashtabula Bike Club.
Yeah. If you just
Ron Schray.
yeah, or you can call me at 440-645-6208, or it's RN Schray at sweet224.net.
We are out of time. Thank you both. Talking about the Ashtabula Bike Club and biking.